Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Wavy Baller Hub. I'm your host, Temi. If this is your first time watching, make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, and follow the movement that is the Wavy Baller Hub. Doing a match preview today. Man, I'm exhausted, guys. We had a big day yesterday. Introed our NFL content yesterday. Really excited about that. So make sure to check out our week one recap if you missed it. But we're back to Manchester United. It feels like a while since I've made a Manchester United video. Obviously, games have been canceled and things like that. And then the Europa League games are on Thursday. I work during the Europa League game, so it's a weird one, but we're gonna figure it out. You know what I mean? We're gonna figure it out. I got a great guest with me today. One of the smartest one of the smartest Manchester United fans out there. You feel me? Member of the United View TV. I got my guy Cam with me. What's going on, bro?
Yeah, good. How are you? You do look exhausted. Can't
Bro,
say I watch the NFL content. I'm not really big
yeah.
NFL fan, but love that you're expanding now.
Yeah. Trying to do NFL content, NBA content. I am exhausted. I literally got home at like 1:30 a.m. from DC. I live like 45 minutes away from DC. So I'm running on like 4-5 hours of sleep. You know what I mean? But it's all good. We're gonna thug it out. We're gonna thug it out. I'll nap after work, man. I'll nap after work. It's all good, bro. But FC Sheriff versus Manchester United. This is potentially another bogey game for us. The team that beat Real Madrid last year has a pretty good a very good record in European competitions over the past couple of seasons. Obviously, we are down. We lost our first game versus Real Sociedad. I didn't do a match reaction to that, but I wasn't as I saw your video on on United View, and I had a good laugh, bro. I was like, this is pretty funny. Cam's not happy right now. I wasn't as mad because we made so many changes. Like we made what, 6 changes, 6-7 changes or something like that.
Yeah,
And when that happens, bro, especially Real Sociedad is not a bad team, so it's like when you make that many changes, there's going to be a drop off, and we could have still drawn that game if not for a bad call. This game we definitely need to win. Obviously, we can't lose 2 games on the bounce in Europe. I think I think he needs to play a strong squad, and I think he will play a strong squad. What are your thoughts on what he's going to do in terms of the lineup? Definitely switched up, the center back, switched up the midfield quite a bit. What do you think he's gonna do?
yeah. I mean, there's no reason not to play a strong squad, is there? Because there's no game on the weekend now, so you may as well play the full first choice team. So yeah, I expect to see the first choice team that we've seen in the last few Premier League games as well. So yeah, it should be good. I think with that first choice team as well. I mean, hopefully they don't get complacent because obviously Sheriff as you said, did really well in the Champions League last year. They beat Madrid, had some other really good results as well. So it's definitely a strong team. And in terms of their heritage in European competitions recently, they're not going to fear anyone. They're not going to fear United. They'll be ready to just play their game. And we need the best team we've got, but also the attitude's got to be right. You can't be complacent going into that game. Can't be sort of just not really willing to put the effort in. You've got to have that attitude there. And to be honest, a lot of that comes from the players we play. When we don't have Martinez, when we don't have Malacia, we don't have the players that are willing to run and put in everything and chase every ball down. The attitude from the rest of the team isn't there. I think it is really contagious. When you've got those players, those characters in the team, it spreads to everyone else. But when they're not there, you miss it even more.
No, I agree. I think that I don't think it was an effort thing on last Thursday against Sociedad. I just think it was a quality thing, right? Like, look how poor Casemiro was, and in comparison to the player we know he will be eventually, right? Fred playing as a 10 was an absolute shambles, right? So I think there's going to be things, right, that at a bare minimum, quality is what's going to be the difference maker here, right? We're facing a worse team on paper, right? We're going to be playing with a higher quality team, so i.e. Bruno's going to be back in the side. We'll probably see Rashford back in the side. Yes, my guy. Shout out my guy James. Sorry if you've already covered. But are we expecting a full strength 11 given the postponements? 100%. We just talked about that, my guy. Yeah, and I think that again, we're gonna have control of this game. I didn't really feel at any point in the Sociedad game that we had true control. Their wingers were really lively. David Silva had a really good game, in my opinion. I don't think it's going to be the case against FC Sheriff. I know they are a decent team. They have talent, but with Erickson, Bruno, and then I cannot believe I'm saying this, but Scott McTominay as that fulcrum in midfield, like there should be enough quality to get us over the hump. Real quick, Cam, let's just run through tactics real quick. What you're expecting? Obviously, we know the favorite squad. We know the favorite side right now, which is a weird one. When's the last time we've said I know what team he wants to play? Like consistently over the last 4.5 seasons, maybe 5
Yeah, it hasn't
seasons.
been a time, has there, really?
There has been a time. And in less than 3 months, we kind of have an idea of where he wants to go. Maybe over time, Casemiro probably replaces Scott McTominay once he gets his feet under him. But other than that, we pretty much know who he wants to play. Like if Martial's healthy, he's probably going to start at number 9, right?
Yeah.
Anthony on the right, Jadon Sancho on the left. We know what the midfield is. We know what the defense is. So it's a good one. But tactically, what do you think we should be looking out for in this game? Maybe 2 or 3 things that you think we need to look out for Sheriff, and then what we should be doing on the ball.
I think the big thing for us is that when we saw last week against Sociedad, for our team, because of the way Ten Hag plays, it's really narrow. So the wingers and fullbacks aren't often on the touchlines either side like you'd see for City or teams like that. So it means it's a lot harder for us to control games because there isn't an easy outlet ball. So if something goes wrong in midfield, if your players are under pressure, City players will just fire it out to the touchlines, knowing full well the winger's going to be there, and you can just move the ball side to side, constantly probing, finding a gap. And it makes it really easy to control games because you've got that. You basically create a bowl shape around the opposition defense. So you can just move that ball side to side until you find a gap, and you won't really lose it unless something goes drastically wrong. Right. So that's a lot easier for City to control games. But because Ten Hag doesn't go for that width, our players are a lot narrower, which means that when we attack, we can get a lot more players into the box because they're already in the centre of the pitch. They're well positioned, and it means that when we get crosses in or if shots get blocked, those sorts of things, then it will bounce out. And normally, United players will be in really good positions to recover the ball. So it's an interesting one there in terms of it makes it really hard for us to control games because we aren't spread so wide. But also it means that we can sustain our attacks a little bit better because the second balls come to United players. Normally, we're in good positions to recover that. It means our counter press is really spot on for when we if we do lose the ball or if a cross gets blocked and headed out. So that's a strength. And I think the other big strength of it is that because you've got so many players in close proximity, you can play some really nice, incisive diagonal passing combinations. Because, I mean, obviously, the further apart your players are spread, the harder it is to sort of combine because the passes are longer. You give the defense more time to shift around. So because we've got so many players positioned narrow and fairly close to each other, when it works, we can have really incisive combinations. We can go 1, 2, 3, 4 passes and get behind the defense. So you've seen that at times. It doesn't take, when we decide to actually go forward and when players are in space, we can do it quickly. The issue is that to do that, you have to be able to stretch teams vertically. So City, obviously, because the wingers are so wide, they stretch teams vertically, so across the pitch. Sorry, horizontally, so across the pitch. So that the idea then is that if you make the defense defend wider, hopefully there's more gaps in the center and it's easier to play through. But for United, we don't stretch teams horizontally really because we're narrow. So we need to stretch teams vertically so that we can make the diagonal passes. So to do that, you need a striker that can run in behind to push the defensive line deeper. And that is why Rashford started when Martial's been injured. Because if you don't have that, that compresses the space. And then all of a sudden, you can't play those passes between the lines. Players don't have space. So then what you end up with is a really frustrating one, like we saw against Sociedad, where every time we have the ball, all we're stuck to doing is just passing between the centre-backs, knowing that if it goes forward, we'll probably lose it because players don't have enough space because we've not stretched the team. Right. So it's a difficult one. And then obviously when you add in players like Fred, who hasn't got as much quality as Bruno in that position, you bring in Casemiro, who's struggling at the moment as well. And then what you've got, a situation where you've got less space anyway is made even worse because you need players that need more space and time than you had before. So it's a difficult situation in that, but it's one that if you play the first choice team, if you can stretch teams vertically, sort of show them that you're willing to get in behind, then that's really good football.
Yeah, so on that topic of stretching teams vertically, obviously Cristiano Ronaldo started last game and was pretty abject, right? I imagine that Ten Hag viewed him as his quote unquote Europa League striker. And then in the league, he, which is our bread and butter, he's gonna play Rashford and Martial pretty much week in, week out. Based on the performance, last game, I would be honestly, I'd be shocked if he played again. But let's start with the front line. Anthony was pretty poor last game. I thought Elanga was decent, personally. And then Ronaldo was poor. Do you think that Sancho, right, probably going to come in for Elanga? Maybe Anthony gets another start, even though he wasn't so great. How do you think the winger situation and just the front three is going to end up? Because I do think that, yes, we know what he likes right now because of we've been winning in the league. But do you think that obviously Anthony's kind of pendant on the right side because of how much money he costs? But those other two positions, do you think that Rashford could keep his place when Martial comes back in, or do you think Jadon Sancho may lose his place? He hasn't been amazing since that Liverpool game. What do you think is gonna pan out?
Yeah, I think the one under the most threat at the moment is probably Jadon Sancho because he's struggled, I think, in games to really impose himself. Obviously, he's provided some really nice moments of quality with his finishing, his sort of composure in the box. That's been really good. And to be fair, it's not something you can just sort of gloss over. That's really important, and you need
No,
that.
100%.
You can create 100 chances, but if you haven't got someone who can put them away, then it's irrelevant. So you
Right.
do need that in the team, and that has been good from him. But I think in general play, to be honest, general play, Rashford's not been great either. He's also
Yeah.
but I think he's probably played a little bit better than Sancho. I think when Martial's fit, I can't see anyone else starting as a 9. I think he'll be there, and it'll be. I think if it takes Anthony a while to adapt, then it won't be long before Ten Hag just says, you know what, Sancho, you're going to start on the right, and we'll have Rashford on the left, and with Martial up top. So
Right.
I can see Anthony getting dropped. I think Ten Hag isn't the type of coach to sort of give him 20 chances to get it right. I think if he can't get things right, he'll take him out of the team altogether for a little bit. He'll be restricted to coming on off the bench, and then we'll see. Hopefully, he can work out what he's supposed to be doing in the team. But yeah, I think for now, I think it'll be Anthony on the right, Rashford and Sancho.
Yeah. So then in midfield, I've really been thinking about this a lot right now. Christian Eriksen's probably our MVP. He is our most. He literally is our most valuable player. Like when he came off against Sociedad, everything kind of just broke down. And that's a really scary thought to me, like a very, very worrying thought to me. The fact that we're relying on a 30-year-old who I think we view as brittle. I'm going to say it in the nicest way possible. He's been putting in the hard yards, so that's not the question. I'm not questioning his effort, his energy, his work rate, but when's the last time he's had this, this type of running the team, playing essentially 90 minutes? I don't even think he did that at Brentford, right? Where he was playing this many minutes on the bounce, back to back to back to back. And I worried. Do you think who is the best candidate to play in that position that Eriksen's kind of holding down right now outside of him in the team? We haven't really seen Donny van de Beek this season. I think he's Bruno's replacement. Essentially, he's probably a 10, but who can play that position if not Christian Eriksen? Because it's not Frederick McTominay. That's for certain.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're struggling. I think if it's not Eriksen, then I think Ten Hag seems to quite like Zidane Iqbal, and it could be that he gets a go in there. I think it's pretty clear already that Ten Hag doesn't trust Fred in the deeper role, because if he did, he would have played there the other week.
Exactly.
So yeah, I think I don't think he sees anyone else as able to play there really. But I know obviously he does like Zidane Iqbal, and he wants to give him some runs of games, or some opportunities. So I think that could be what we see. But Eriksen's worked hard on it over the summer to get his fitness up, get his sort of durability up, so he can play. So he's more able to play regularly, and hopefully that means he can keep going with 90 minutes every week. Hopefully it means that he doesn't get injured. He can he can sort of be robust enough to keep going in the team. And because, yeah, as you say, without him, we're in big trouble. I think he's one of the players that makes it all tick for us.
Yeah. I'm looking at Ugly Bears lineup right here for tomorrow. De Gea, Dallo. I'm surprised Dubravka didn't get a go. De Gea, Dallo, Lindelof, Martinez, Malacia. Then we got Casemiro, Erickson, Bruno, Rashford, Sancho, Anthony. I think McTominay is going to come back in. I'll be real.
I wouldn't drop Varane either. No need to, really.
Yeah.
With 10 days to go until the next game, there's no need.
Varane's going to play. And I definitely think Scott McTominay will play. I think Casemiro will get minutes, no question about it. I think he'll probably play 35.
I think, Ronaldo will get half an hour as well if we're winning.
Yeah. But there's just no reason to switch things up. He's found a team that works for him, and he should just go on. Now, I don't know too much about Sheriff, to be honest with you. Normally, if this is a Premier League preview, we can talk to the other team and their strengths and their weaknesses. As you can tell, guys, I'm running on little sleep, so I didn't get to look up Sheriff's team. I didn't get to study them the way I normally would, right? But again, bogey team. Is there? I don't know about you, Cam. Is there anything that worries you about that team in particular, or is it just one of those ones?
To be honest, I don't know too much about Sheriff either. I mean, from what I can see, it looks to be usually 4-3-3, sometimes a diamond in midfield. But I think I can't really remember how they played against Madrid last year, but I feel like it was quite direct, lots of counterattacks, as you probably expect from a weaker team in general. So, yeah, I think that could be I think that's one of the reasons I think Varane's got to play, because just if you're dealing with a physical striker and you've got a lot of counterattacks, you need that pace to cover ground, you need that physicality, which he's definitely got better. He's definitely better at that than Lindelof is.
Yeah.
So I think I want to see him. I also want to see Scott McTominay there to win duels as well. But yeah, I can't say I know that much about
him. No. I think we should put last week's defeat to the shocking news of Her Majesty the Queen. That game should not have been played. Even as a fan, the game wasn't watchable. The game was watchable for me. Forgive me. I'm not trying to be disrespectful, but it was a Europa League game, right? Like, I think the boys were fine. We need a good performance, just to lift spirits after last week's news. I mean, listen, Cristiano Ronaldo played last season after the death of his child, so I think these guys can make it through. But in defense, we've talked about midfield. Now in defense, we saw levels. Like, I'm a big fan of Victor Lindelof, right? But yet last week really reminded me that like Martinez and Varane are just way better, right? They're just way better than Maguire and Lindelof. I think one of the biggest things that was detrimental to us last game was just it was so slow coming out of the back. No one was playing that pass that Martinez would play, with his left foot, whipping balls around the corner, breaking the lines. Like, that wasn't happening. That wasn't happening against Sociedad. And again, Maguire's in trouble, man. I just cannot see how, and it's not like he played bad per se. I just can't see how he gets his place back, because he doesn't, in my opinion, doesn't really fit this style of play. You need a center back with a bit of pace, a bit of I don't want to disrespect his quality on the ball, because for someone as big as him, he does have decent feet, right? I mean, he just needs time and space, and that essentially the 4-3-3 that we play, you're not afforded that. You're not afforded that time. We're playing a higher line, right? I can't see Harry Maguire lasting too long at Manchester United under this coach. I don't.
No, it doesn't look like it's going to happen. I think the telling thing, which was interesting, was that last week it was Maguire on the right and Lindelof on the left. And for me, I think Lindelof is, to be honest, in terms of backup centre-backs for Varane, you can't get too many better than Lindelof. He's probably better than Varane on the ball. Obviously, defensively, he's not quite as physical, not quite as quick, but he's still a decent reader of the game. And in terms of being a sort of cover centre-back, one to sort of cover his partner, he's probably a really, really good option. So I think stylistically, it's a really good fit if you take out Varane and Lindelof plays. Like, I wouldn't mind Lindelof and Martinez in the Premier League. That'll be fine. because
Yeah.
Martinez is the aggressive one. He can keep doing his thing, and
Right.
Lindelof's there to cover him. He'll play in a similar way to Varane, which is so important. But the
Right.
problem is the other side is Lindelof's had to play on the left because obviously Ten Hag doesn't trust Maguire on the left because he takes too long on the ball, could lose it, and also it's he has a weird tendency when the ball comes from so if you imagine Maguire as left centre back, if the ball comes from his right side, so if that comes from the right centre back or from the keeper, he always, rather than taking his first touch with his left foot and going outwards away from pressure, he's not confident, so he always takes it on his right foot, goes back into pressure, and that causes him problems. And it also makes it quite hard for him to then find balls through the lines like Martinez can do. So it looks like right now Ten Hag's protecting Maguire by playing him on the right side. When actually, to be honest, Lindelof's a better player on that right side. I'd rather have him. He's a better fit in terms of if you're playing someone alongside Martinez. I'd rather it be Lindelof than Maguire, because of the way he is, because of his profile, really. And it was interesting that again, second half when he took off Dalot, it was Lindelof that moved to right back. Obviously, Maguire can't play to full back. It's not going to happen.
All right.
So I think Lindelof's been a bit unfair for him the way he's been treated, but it's one of those things in football. You just got to get used to it. But I think eventually, when Maguire goes, hopefully we can get a centre back in that's very similar to Martinez in terms of profile, and then we'll have two quality back four options.
Right. No, 100%. It's a weird one. Like I said, a big fan of Victor. I think he's extremely underrated on the ball. I think he's extremely underrated on the ball. And again, when it comes to the Maguire situation, it's just like you mentioned. I don't think Ten Hag really fancies him, which is why he's playing on as a right center back when he's pretty much been a left center back his whole career. I wonder how quickly this will deteriorate, because the media is going to be on this Harry Maguire thing all the time. Obviously, he's one of England's center backs, which is ridiculous to me personally. But it's well, let me not say that, because in the back three he is pretty decent. But it's going to be interesting to see. That is our club captain, on paper, right? I remember when he came on, or when Martinez came on, it felt like Martinez was the one, like, you go here, just had the actual leadership ability. I could see Martinez being a captain over the next year or two, to be quite honest with you. Sell Maguire and go get Kimpembe. Is Kimpembe's contract running out? I don't know. That's
I don't know, but there was rumors that Chelsea were going to get him this summer.
Yeah.
He's a really, really good player. He'd be fantastic.
No, he is a very good player. I'm a big fan of Presnel Kimpembe. Very aggressive, hardworking center back. But yeah, Nola, score predictions for this game. I'll go first. I'm gonna go with a 3-1. I think we'll concede a goal. There's probably going to be a lineup decision that we'll be a little bit surprised by, in my opinion. I think we'll start our first 11, but I also have a feeling like there may be one change or one thing that we're just a little bit surprised by. So I'll go 3-1 for Manchester United. How about you, Cam?
Yeah, I was thinking the exact same thing, 3-1 as well. I think, it just looks like we will concede a goal, but I think with the first choice team playing, we should be able to cut through them.
Yep. And guys, get your thoughts in the comments. We're 25 minutes deep. We're probably going to round it up real quick. I got to get ready for work and all that good jazz, but it was fun as always, Cam. Guys, make sure to follow Cam. All of his information, his YouTube, his Twitter is in the description. So make sure to show him some love. Make sure to check out the United View TV. He's on there all the time, dropping great content with Flex and the guys. So make sure to show some love to him there. Guys, it's been a great stream so far. Thank you for everyone who contributed in the comments. Make sure to hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, okay? And we will talk to you guys very, very shortly, all right? Deuces.